Hey everyone, it's Josh from Blockchain DXB and today is the 22nd of May 2026 and today Satoshi is the Bitcoin Pizza Day, and in today's episode, we'll go ahead and tell our listeners what happened on 22nd of May 2010 where around 10,000 Bitcoin was used to go ahead and buy 2 pizzas, and what I thought Satoshi in today's episode. Why don't you go ahead and tell our listeners what the Bitcoin white paper is, and as a surprise, we'll also go ahead and have a Bitcoin quiz, so it's going to be a really back and forth conversation between us. But look, so far as the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies is concerned, Satoshi, things haven't changed a lot since the last 24 to 48 hours. And here's the thing guys, right now we might be getting some update regarding Operation Epic Fury, and the moment we get some update regarding Operation Epic Fury, the prices of Bitcoin in the global cryptocurrency market will be reacting positively. So it is important to understand guys, that we got to look at information from official sources. Now in the Blockchain DXB podcast, we'll definitely go and delve into that. Now unfortunately Satoshi, what has happened since the last 24 hours, there is still outflows in the world of crypto ETFs. This is definitely not a good sign, isn't it? Because it does give a very strong assessment as to what the market sentiment is, right? And that directly or indirectly impacts the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies as well.
Absolutely, George. That continued outflow from crypto ETFs does point to a cautious note from investors right now. It really underscores that nuanced market sentiment you mentioned, where people are perhaps waiting for more clarity, like from that Operation Epic Fury update, before making bigger moves. And speaking of foundational knowledge, that Bitcoin white paper you asked about, it weighs out the whole vision for a peer-to-peer electronic cash system without needing a central authority. It's pretty fundamental to everything we discuss.
Absolutely, Satoshi will definitely go ahead and take a deep dive into that. Now the next news Satoshi we're going to be discussing is probably the most important website in the world of cryptocurrencies, and this is blockchain.com. And here's the thing guys, they have filed for an IPO, so we'll definitely go ahead and delve into what this news is all about. And more importantly, Satoshi will also go ahead and discuss the implication of this particular news on the cryptocurrency world. Definitely important news in my honest opinion. Now the third news Satoshi is a really interesting news, and this is connected to MoonPay, and they have actually gone ahead and launched a new trading platform. So we'll definitely go ahead and explain this news to our listeners. Now the final news Satoshi is kind of connected to one of the oldest cryptocurrency exchanges in the world, and this is the parent company called as Payward. And here's the thing guys, they have secured wires authorization in the United Arab Emirates. Now what I thought Satoshi, when we're going to be talking about Bitcoin today, we'll also have a surprise question connected to the oldest cryptocurrency exchange in the world. And according to me Satoshi, majority of the people truly don't understand what the oldest cryptocurrency exchange in the world is. So we'll definitely have some interesting drama that is connected to Bitcoin Pizza Day. So it looks like we have quite a lot of interesting things to cover in today's episode. But here's the thing Satoshi, in every Blockchain DXB podcast, we will be looking at 2 news from Dubai, UAE and the Middle East. Now the first news according to me is a really interesting one, and this is connected to AI infrastructure. And the news Satoshi is that Core42, they have raised a staggering $550 million, and this is connected to one of the top banks in the world, that is HSBC. And the reason is pretty simple Satoshi, they want to scale global AI infrastructure, so we'll definitely go ahead and delve into that. Now regarding Core42 Satoshi, am I right in saying it is connected to G42?
That's right, George. Core42 is indeed connected to G42. They're part of the same organization, focusing on those AI capabilities you mentioned. They're aiming to propel global AI infrastructure development, and that backing from HSBC really supports that growth strategy. It shows a strong financial belief in their projects.
Absolutely, Satoshi will definitely go ahead and take a deep dive into this. Now the next news Satoshi we're going to be talking about is regarding cryptocurrency adoption and Dubai insurance guys. They have actually welcomed Dubai's new government crypto payment initiative, so we'll definitely go ahead and delve into what this news is all about. Now look Satoshi, am I right in saying insurance companies such as Dubai Insurance accepting cryptocurrencies is definitely a massive deal, isn't it? Now if you're a Dubai insurance company Satoshi, would you prefer Bitcoin? Would you prefer cryptocurrencies? Or would you prefer stable coins?
That's an interesting question, George. If I were hypothetically buying insurance myself, I think Bitcoin would be appealing because of its recognition and established value. However, stablecoins could also be practical by avoiding the volatility, making the transaction more straightforward. It'd depend on the specific needs. I probably wouldn't lean toward more volatile crypto options right now.
It does make a lot of sense, Satoshi. So it looks like Satoshi, we have quite a lot of interesting things to cover in today's episode. But before we go ahead and do that, a quick word from our sponsors. Hey everyone, this episode is powered by a new sponsor, that is Amana, and they are the region's first and fastest growing regulated all-in-one trading and investing app. So look guys, whether you're looking into invest in US stocks like Apple or Tesla, or mega giants like ADNOC or Salik, Amana puts the financial markets on your fingertips. It includes gold, foreign exchange, ETFs, futures, commodities, and guess what guys? They have over 375 cryptocurrencies, and this makes them the biggest crypto selection in the region. Now for the Blockchain DXB listeners guys, if you want to go and build long-term wealth without thinking about it every day, explore Amana's pre-built auto investment plans, and all you have to do is set your monthly budget, choose your preferred asset category, and let Amana automate the investing for you. Zero fees, zero lockups, 100% customizable. And here's the thing guys, funding your account is easier than ever. You can fund your account with Apple Pay, Google Pay, credit cards, instant bank deposits, and even crypto wallets. No friction and no hassles. And the best part is guys, let's say if you need support, you would absolutely love Amana for this, because they offer 24/6 human customer service, as well as a personalized sales support, real people, real help, and the customer support is in English as well as in Arabic. And for the Blockchain DXB listener and community guys, I do have something really exclusive for you. What you can do is register with Amana using the code Blockchain DXB, or you can also use the link that is in the show notes below. And here's the best part guys, once you register, fund your account with a minimum of $100 and at least go ahead and make one trade, and then you'll receive a $100 trading bonus credit to your account the following month. But look guys, it's real important to note, the bonus is non-withdrawable. It is there to help you trade and learn. So look guys, if you're looking for a transparent, powerful and easy to use app, that's Amana for you. So what are you waiting for guys? Download the app now, or you can also visit the website that is amana.app, and don't forget to use the code Blockchain DXB. And Amana guys is all markets one app. Next guys, I'm happy to announce that Blockchain DXB is the official media partner with one of the OGs in the cryptocurrency and blockchain event space, and that is Blockchain Futuristic Conference taking place in Florida this year, as well as ETH Women taking place simultaneously. And trust me guys, this is an event that you don't want to miss, isn't it? Because for the very first time, North America's most immersive Web3 event is heading to the United States of America, and the Blockchain Futurist Conference and ETH Women event is actually taking place between the 5th and 6th of November. And the location is absolutely stunning guys. It is taking place at Guitar Hotel at Hard Rock, which is in Hollywood, Florida. That's right guys, palm trees, panels, and the biggest mind in blockchain and cryptocurrency is all in one place. So there will be multi-stage panels, NFT galleries, DeFi showcases, hand-on tech demos, metaverse experiences, even outdoor VIP cabanas, and quite a lot more. And the Guitar Hotel at Hard Rock guys is one of the most iconic venues in the country. So look guys, if you're in the Web3 space, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, or even artificial intelligence space, or just want to do some serious networking, this is the place that you got to be. And to all of you Blockchain DXB listeners guys, we have something really interesting for you, because you can get a 25% off the tickets. So just use the code DXB25, and the link to the event as well as the code is in the show notes below. And as an official media partner, I'll be doing exclusive live coverage, interviews, behind the scenes access, and I will be spotlighting some of the most exciting projects shaping the future of decentralized finance tech. So if you're at the venue guys, definitely come and say hi. Maybe we can catch up for a coffee as well. So listen guys, the code is DXB25, and by using this code you will be eligible for a 25% discount. And the event is taking place between the 5th and 6th of November 2025 at the iconic Guitar Hotel at Hard Rock, that is in Hollywood, Florida. And in the show notes below guys, there's all contact details for Blockchain Futuristic Conference Florida 2025, as well as ETH Women. And look guys, this is the future of blockchain technology brought into life, so don't just read about it, be there and head to the website that is futuristconference.com, and go ahead and use the code DXB25. So see you at the event. Next, Advanced Media. Advanced Media guys is the largest distributor of professional video, photo, broadcast and cinematic equipment and accessories in the Middle East and MENA region. With over 2 decades of experience, Advanced Media is now the largest distributor in the Middle East, representing more than 100 recognizable brands, including brands such as Zeiss, DJI, Hasselblad, Red and Rode. As a matter of fact guys, the very mic that I'm recording is being sponsored by Advanced Media as well, and Advanced Media has showrooms in Saudi Arabia and services as well. Looks like they're definitely taking the Middle East by storm. And here's the beautiful thing guys, they're taking corporate social responsibility very seriously, and they're focusing on 3 P's, that is people, planet and prosperity. Now listen guys, if you do want to find out more information regarding the statement of corporate social responsibility, check out the website, that is www.amt.tv. And here's the beautiful thing guys, they also want to be a leader and set an example and reputation as a pioneer and member of the community. And in doing so guys, they also have an AMT scholarship with SAE Institute in Dubai, UAE. So definitely check it out. And also guys, Advanced Media is committed to persistently developing, organizing and hosting training workshops, seminars and community events that educate, inform and familiarize consumers with new equipment and the latest technological advances. So listen guys, do one thing. If you do want to support this channel, go to the website, that is www.amt.tv, and follow the social media channels as well. All of the details are in the show notes below. Next, Startup OI is global one tech platform for tech. It offers global high-paying tech jobs with flexibility in working time and location, global free tech events, and tech networks to connect with global like-minded engineers. A brilliant platform to listen to the tech experts in Metaverse and to grab their insights. Now listen, all you have to do is download the app Startup OI. If you're using an Android version, go to Google Store and App Store for iOS devices. Alternatively, you can also click on the show notes below to download Startup OI. Next, guys, listen, if you're into fitness, if you're into adventure, if you want to do something wild but still want to keep your health in check, there is a new podcast in town, a podcast focusing on obstacle course race in the Middle East. The podcast is called the Race Pace Podcast. So check out the Race Pace Podcast across all leading platforms. And the Race Pace Podcast is a peer-to-peer community-driven podcast where they talk all about obstacle course race in the Middle East, from Sandstorm to Spartan Race, from Tough Mudder to Desert Warrior Challenge, and also the Government Gulf Games, and quite a lot more. The podcast has interviews with athletes locally and internationally to get inside scoop on how athletes prepare for obstacle course race. In the podcast, they also talk about interesting stories on why they are motivated to do obstacle course race. And that's not all. They also plan to release 7 NFTs. And these NFTs are no ordinary. These NFTs will represent every emirate in the UAE. And listen guys, these NFTs are going to be absolutely massive. So do one thing, go to Spotify, go to iTunes, go to any leading podcasting platform, check out the Race Pace Podcast across all leading platforms. And finally guys, not your keys, not your crypto. If you have dabbled with cryptocurrencies and now are seriously getting to protect your cryptocurrencies, there is no better way to protect it by using a hardware wallet. And this is where Ledger Wallet kicks in. And Ledger Wallets are hardware cryptocurrency wallets made by Ledger, a company headquartered in Paris, France. And Ledger's hardware wallets are multi-currency wallets that are used to store private keys for cryptocurrencies offline. And Ledger offers 2 hardware wallets, the Ledger Nano and Ledger Nano X wallets. They are world-class experts with extensive crypto security backgrounds. They continuously look for vulnerabilities in Ledger products in a constant effort to improve the level of security. Now, in today's world, securing these digital assets is a critical challenge, and this is where Ledger kicks in. So click the link below to buy your hardware wallet and support this podcast. It is a brilliant way to support this podcast. So what are you waiting for? The link is in the show notes below. Now guys, since you've taken care of that, let's quickly run to the global cryptocurrency market. Now look guys, the global cryptocurrency market is down to $2.66 trillion, but what I really am not liking Satoshi is, the volume is not looking great. It is only at $75.4 billion, and this represents a 0.48% decrease since the last 24 hours, so the numbers are definitely not looking great. Now according to me, Satoshi, am I right in saying, the moment we get some update regarding Operation Epic Fury, the numbers will drastically change, either in a positive or negative way?
That's right, George. That market sensitivity is definitely there, with the volume figures being lower. Any concrete news, positive or otherwise, could certainly shift that balance quickly. It shows how closely watched these developments are.
And it is so important guys regarding Operation Epic Fury. Go ahead and follow official sources. Now let's do one thing, Satoshi. Let's quickly run to some matrix that is connected to decentralized exchanges. Now unfortunately guys, the volume of decentralized exchanges isn't looking that great. It is down to $5.29 billion. And here's the thing guys, the total fees connected for these transactions is accounting to only $62.89 million. And the total very log Satoshi is on a downtrend. It is down to $82.99 billion. And what I really am not liking is the decentralized to centralized exchange ratio. Essentially, this is the dominance. It is only at 20.50%.
You're right to focus on that, George. The decentralized exchange volume is low. At that level of dominance, it shows that there's still consistent usage relative to centralized exchanges, meaning people are still valuing those platforms despite overall market conditions.
And what I'm really not liking Satoshi since the last 24 hours, there are still outflows in the world of crypto ETFs, and this is accounting to $73.1 million. But as we talked about, guys, the moment you get any update regarding Operation Epic Fury or some more regulatory clarity, hopefully the outflows changes into inflows, and that would indirectly impact the market sentiment, which will directly impact the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. But here's the thing, guys, whatever we're saying is definitely not financial advice. Make sure you go and do your own research. Now, why don't you do one thing, Satoshi? Why don't you tell our listeners what is the 24-hour volume of decentralized exchanges platform, please?
Certainly, George. Over the last 24 hours, the decentralized exchange volume by platform looks like this. Uniswap is leading with $1.22 billion, Aerodrome at $631.65 million, PancakeSwap at $615.19 million, Fluid at $215.17 million, and Hyperliquid Fi at $200.44 million. And regarding those persistent outflows from crypto ETFs you mentioned, seeing that 73.1 million figure continue emphasizes that current market caution, though any positive resolution could shift that quickly.
Now, what I'm really not liking, Satoshi, is the volume of stable coins, and Tether USDT's volume is only at $68.91 billion. Circle USDC is down to $10.94 billion, and NEFD consistently is at number 3rd, but its 24-hour trading volume is slightly above the $300 million mark, $353.51 million. Now, do you want to explain to our listeners, Satoshi, why the volume of stable coins is so important? Now, according to me, it does give an assessment as to how the market sentiment is and what people are using in day-to-day life as well as in it.
That's a great point, George, and you're right. Stablecoin volume provides important context for market sentiment and how people are transacting. It reflects the need for stability in a volatile market, and dominance levels like Tether's show its key role in day-to-day activities and trading pairs.
Absolutely, and talking about dominance, Satoshi, why don't you do one thing? Why don't you tell our listeners the market cap of Bitcoin, its dominance, and its 24-hour trading volume, and do the same thing for Ethereum as well as Binance BNB Coin for our listeners, please.
Looking at the data, Bitcoin's market cap is around $1.55 trillion, with the 24-hour volume of $27.64 billion and dominance standing at 58.70%. For Ethereum, the market cap is $257.18 billion, with about $14.39 billion in trading recently, and dominance at 8.72%. Lastly, Binance Coin has a market cap of $88.43 billion and a trading volume of approximately $1.23 billion. It shows a varied picture of activity across the board.
Now, one trend, Satoshi, which I'm noting particularly since the last 3 days is the dominance of Bitcoin is increasing, but the dominance of Ethereum is going down. And according to me, the reason is pretty simple, Satoshi. Since the last 72 hours, one of the tokens that is connected to decentralized exchange, that is Hyperliquid, that has been going off the chart because there is an ETF work in play connected to Hyperliquid. Now, I'm right in saying because of that, the dominance of Ethereum has actually fallen down, and a lot of people actually buying, selling, and trading Hyperliquid token, that is Hype.
That's a fascinating trend, George. The rise in Hyperliquid's popularity and the potential ETF buzz could definitely be drawing volume away from Ethereum, as you suggested. It shows how quickly activity can shift in response to specific market events or new opportunities.
Excellent. Now, what we want to do is, Satoshi, every day in the Blockchain DXB podcast, we tend to look at one new matrix. Today, what I want you to do is, I want you to go ahead and run through some matrix that is connected to exchange tokens. But before that, Satoshi, why don't you explain to our listeners what an exchange token is and what are the benefits of having an exchange token?
Exchange tokens, George, are digital assets issued by cryptocurrency exchanges and often hold specific benefits within their platforms, like reduced trading fees, access to unique features or bonuses, or sometimes even a voice in platform governance. They essentially help incentivize users and enhance the ecosystem. Now, if you want me to run through the market caps for some of the main ones, I can do that.
Before that, Satoshi, why don't you tell our listeners what are the drawbacks or negatives of the exchange token, and are there instances in the past where because of exchange token, customers have been affected and the exchange has gone completely belly up?
Drawbacks often include their value being heavily tied to the exchange's performance or reputation. George, if the exchange falters, the token's value can too. There's also regulatory uncertainty. A prominent example is the collapse of FTX, where reliance on their native token, FTT, played a significant role in their downfall, severely impacting customers and wiping out value. It highlights the risk of over-centralization.
You're absolutely spot on, Satoshi. So look, guys, when you talk about tokens, there are benefits as well as negative aspects of it. And according to me, Satoshi, I do feel that when you talk about exchange tokens, they are another word for masking centralization. Now, why don't you do one thing? Why don't you tell our listeners some details regarding exchange tokens and also read out the market cap of the top 5 platforms for our listeners, please?
That's a fair point, George. They can obscure centralization if not managed well. Looking at the market caps for the top platforms, Binance BNB is currently at $88.41 billion, Hyperliquid is at $13.96 billion, White Bitcoin at $12.18 billion, Leo Token at $9.10 billion, and Chronos at $3.11 billion. Those are the major players right now.
Thank you so very much for that, guys. And today is 22nd of May 2026. And today the king of all kings, that is Bitcoin, the price is $77,688. And since the last 24 hours, it is down by 0.33%. And since the last 7 days, it is down by 4.72%. Ethereum Satoshi is at $2,157. Since the last 24 hours, it is down by 0.16%. And unfortunately, since the last 7 days, it is down by 10.40%. Binance BNB Coin, guys, is still at number 3rd with a price of $657. But here's the thing, guys. Since the last 24 hours, it is marginally up by 1.29%. But since the last 7 days, it is down by 3.68%. Now look, guys, if you look at the Fear and Greed Index, right now the market is still at neutral. And the number associated is 41. Now look, Satoshi, 22nd of May. Historically is an iconic day for Bitcoin, isn't it? Now do you want to very briefly explain to our listeners why 22nd of May is called as Bitcoin Pizza Day? And after that, Satoshi, I do have some interesting plan for our listeners. But why don't you briefly tell our listeners what happened on 22nd of May 2010?
Acknowledged, George. May 22nd is famous as Bitcoin Pizza Day because back in 2010, Laszlo Hanyecz bought 2 pizzas for 10,000 Bitcoins. That was the first commercial transaction using cryptocurrency.
So in today's one, Satoshi, those 2 pizzas will be approximately $77 million, isn't it? And if you look at the price of Bitcoin when it was an all-time high, imagine paying close to $126 million for 2 Bitcoins. That does sound really crazy, isn't it? But here's the thing, guys. It does give us a very strong assessment as to the conviction of what people had back in the day. And fast forward to 2026, Bitcoin now is often considered as digital gold. Now, one of the misconceptions people have regarding this new Satoshi is the person who accepted that Bitcoin, he still has a lot of these Bitcoin. This, guys, is definitely not true. Unfortunately, the person who received it, he did eventually sell it and he sold it for a relatively less amount as well. Now, why don't we do one thing, Satoshi? Do you want to very briefly explain to our listeners what is the Bitcoin white paper and how does it actually compare to fiat system or monetary system?
Correct, George. Those 2 pizzas would be millions of dollars today, really highlighting the conviction of early adopters. And you're right, that misconception persists, but the recipient did indeed sell those Bitcoins. And regarding the Bitcoin white paper, George, by definition, it's a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. It introduces the concept of mining and a fixed supply through halving events to create digital scarcity, comparing that to how traditional fiat currencies are controlled by central banks with unlimited supply. This decentralization is really key.
Now, rather than saying Satoshi, the word that is used is distributed, not decentralization.
That's right, George. The white paper focuses on a distributed network rather than the term decentralization, which captures that peer-to-peer architecture well. It emphasizes that information is spread across everyone participating.
So that's one of the reasons, Satoshi, I like to use the word distributed as opposed to decentralization. Because look, guys, when you talk about Bitcoin, it is a distributed network. Now, why don't we do something interesting, Satoshi? In today's episode, why don't we do one thing? Let's go ahead and have a Bitcoin-only quiz. And let's make it a bit interesting, Satoshi. Now, I thought, Satoshi, why don't we do one thing? Because today is the 22nd of May, let's go ahead and have 22 questions. And we can break it down in 3 sectors. Beginner level, advanced level, and technical level. What is your take regarding that, Satoshi?
That sounds like an excellent idea, George. Creating a 22-question quiz covering beginner, advanced, and technical topics would be a great way to test knowledge and mark the occasion. I'm ready to start asking or answering whenever you are.
Now let me do one thing, Satoshi. Let me go ahead and ask you questions, and then you can go ahead and take your turn in asking me questions, alright?
That sounds like a plan, George. I'm ready for your first question.
Now the first question is, Satoshi, what exactly is a hard fork in blockchain technology?
It is a permanent software split that forces a single blockchain to divide into 2 completely separate networks, leaving users with matching coin balances on both chains.
Excellent. So you have hard fork as well as soft fork. Now the second question is, Satoshi, regarding the Bitcoin split. Why did Bitcoin permanently split? And this created Bitcoin Cash back in 2017.
A faction of developers wanted to expand the block size limit from 1 megabyte to 8 megabytes to process cheap daily transactions faster, sacrificing base layer security.
And to be honest, Satoshi, during that time, the war between two parties got really intense. There was a point of time where it tried to get physical as well. Now the third question, Satoshi, is a bit interesting one. And this is connected to copycats. Now do you want to tell our listeners, Satoshi, how many times have developers tried to spin off or fork the open source Bitcoin code?
There have been over 105 attempted hard forks in history, though almost all of them failed to capture real market interest.
That is correct. So essentially, am I right in saying, Satoshi, that there are 100 types of Bitcoin?
Actually, George, there aren't that many types of Bitcoin, but there have been over 105 different forks of its code, resulting in various alternative versions being created.
You're absolutely correct, Satoshi, and that is one of the reasons why they call us failed copycats, isn't it? Now the fourth question is, Satoshi, a bit technical one, and this is connected to SegWit. So the question is, what did the historic 2017 SegWit upgrade actually achieve? Now listeners should know that when you talk about SegWit, it essentially means segregated witness, and this is where signatures are taken into account. But you want to answer this quiz for our listeners?
You're right, George. A segregated witness, or SegWit, actually structurally optimized the network. By stripping that signature data away from transaction inputs, it compressed the data sizes, making layer 2 scaling possible.
Excellent. Another technical question, Satoshi, and this is connected to privacy. And the question is, how did the 2021 upgrade, that is Taproot, shift the network privacy?
Well, George, Taproot implemented new cryptographic signatures that make massive multi-signature corporate transactions look identical to standard wallet transfers on the ledger. It really boosted privacy for those larger transactions.
Now the sixth question, Satoshi, is primarily dedicated to a lot of Michael Saylor fans. Now look, Michael Saylor via X does often put out a lot of misleading information, and one of the things he actually states that Bitcoin never had a downtime. This, guys, is definitely not true. So the sixth question is kind of connected to a 2013 system glitch, and the question is, Satoshi, what caused a massive 6-hour Bitcoin network emergency glitch? And this was back in March of 2013, isn't it?
You're right to highlight that, George. An unexpected software incompatibility caused miners to accidentally split the global ledger into two conflicting histories before developers stepped in. It's a key example of downtime.
So look, guys, these are 6 questions primarily connected to Bitcoin. Now let's do one thing. Let's go ahead and take it a step further, and let's go ahead and ask some advanced questions. Now let's do one thing, Satoshi. Let me ask you 3 questions, and then you can probably check my knowledge regarding Bitcoin, okay? Now the first question is connected to BlackRock, Satoshi. Do you want to tell our listeners exactly how many Bitcoin does Wall Street giant BlackRock custody have today?
Through its dominant IBIT spot ETF, George, BlackRock currently custodies over 810,000 BTC for its traditional institutional clients. They manage quite a large bag.
Does this raise a bit of centralization concerns as well, Satoshi?
It certainly does make you think, George. Having a single firm custody such a significant portion of the supply, even if for clients, does bring up questions about reliance on one entity in an ecosystem designed to be decentralized. It's a balancing act.
True, it does make a lot of sense to a certain extent. As a matter of fact, the next question is also connected to ETFs. Now the question is, do these multi-dollar spot ETF issuers actually hold their own physical Bitcoin?
No, George. The vast majority of ETF providers rely on regulated third-party institutional storage giants like Coinbase, Custody, and Fidelity to secure their private keys. They don't manage them directly.
Absolutely spot on, Satoshi, and that's one of the indirect risks. Let's say if Coinbase gets hacked, the ETF holders of BlackRock, they also get penalized, right?
Exactly, George. If one of those primary custodians were compromised, it could directly impact the assets underpinning the ETF, potentially leading to significant losses for the investors, including those with BlackRock. The centralization issue becomes really significant there.
Now let me go ahead and ask the 9th question, Satoshi, and after that you can ask me some questions. And the question is, which public corporation holds the largest treasury stockpile of Bitcoin in the world at this moment?
Strategy Inc., formerly known as MicroStrategy, currently holds the largest corporate stockpile of Bitcoin, George. They have an aggressive reserve of over 818,000 BTC. They're definitely leading the way. Now, may I pose a question to you, George?
Sure, go ahead. And this is the 10th question, right?
That's right, George. Why did MicroStrategy legally change its name to Strategy Inc.? What did that rebrand?
This is such an interesting question, Satoshi, and according to me, the company rebranded to officially codify structural shift from a legacy software firm to a more dedicated Bitcoin-only company, isn't it?
That's spot on, George. They fundamentally redefined their mission. Now, focusing on the ETF market again, how many total coins are currently held by those major global spot ETFs?
This is such an interesting question. Am I right in saying, Satoshi, that all of the combined asset managers now currently hold over 1 million Bitcoin and they're locking away a massive percentage to liquidate circulating supply from standard exchanges?
You're absolutely right, George. That large stockpile effectively locks away a significant portion of the liquid supply. Now, regarding mining, why are public mining giants like Mara and Riot refusing to sell their newly minted coins?
The reason is pretty simple, Satoshi. They have something called as hodl mentality, and they have shifted to a full corporate hodl strategy, and they're using alternative financing to corporations. And one of the reasons why they want to do that is because by doing that, they can retain tens of thousands of self-mined Bitcoin at their own balance sheet. That is what my honest opinion is, Satoshi.
For the 13th question, George, why did the critical 2010 value overflow patch bypass the standard community voting process? What was at risk?
Oh, this is a bit technical, Satoshi, and it might take me a bit longer to go ahead and explain it. But look, for our listeners, they should know there was a severe exploit code, and this code accidentally generated, I believe, more than 184 billion fake tokens, and this created a bit of drama, and it did actually threaten the absolute 21 million mathematical limit of asset that we think about Bitcoin. But this is something, Satoshi, in the Bitcoin DXB platform, I can go ahead and explain it in finer details. Definitely an interesting and tricky question, to be completely honest.
And for the 14th question, George, how widespread is corporate Bitcoin adoption among public companies today?
Right now, Satoshi, I do think there are more than 100 companies, maybe even more than 145 public traded corporations that have already adopted Bitcoin. And what I really like is this is spread across technology, energy, and even finance. And what they're doing is they're buying Bitcoin and putting it into the balance sheet. As a matter of fact, Satoshi, roughly around a year ago, I did actually go live via LinkedIn. And this was with the managing director of Onra MENA in Middle East. And in that session, Satoshi, we talked about Bitcoin as a treasury reserve asset. So our listeners should definitely travel back in time and go ahead and listen to it. What about other questions, Satoshi? Do you want to go ahead and ask me some technical questions?
That's a great callback, George. Listeners really should check that out for deeper insights. Now, for the 15th question, how did the United States government end up holding a massive treasury of roughly 328,000 BTC? Was it part of a strategic purchase?
Not at all, Satoshi. Here's the important thing our listeners should know. United States of America didn't actually buy a single coin. The entire reserve asset was actually a massive criminal asset for features and federal law enforcement seizures over the last decade. And when you talk about Bitcoin Treasury Reserve, Satoshi, it is important to note the US government will not be paying even a single penny and buying any new Bitcoin as such, and the promise of Bitcoin Reserve is only to hodl all of the Bitcoin that they currently have. That's about all.
That's a crucial distinction, George. It really changes the perception of their reserve. Now, for the 16th question, where did the Chinese government get its massive reserve of nearly 194,000 BTC? Was it a similar situation?
It was actually a similar situation, Satoshi. The entire state allocation was confiscated during the law enforcement shutdown, and this was of notorious multi-billion-dollar plus token Ponzi scheme, and that is one of the reasons why they have a lot of token. Now, because you asked me a question regarding China, Satoshi, let me go ahead and ask you a question all the way from the United Kingdom. How did the United Kingdom build a sovereign state repository of 61,000 Bitcoin?
Those assets were entirely seized by London's Metropolitan Police during complex international money laundering and cybercrime investigations, George. It wasn't through direct purchase.
Now, since you're talking about different nations, Satoshi, let me ask you a tricky one. How did the Kingdom of Bhutan quietly accumulate thousands of Bitcoin? Do you think they acquired Bitcoin similar to other countries, or did they go ahead and mine a lot of these Bitcoins?
No, George. They actually do something quite different. They use their sovereign investment arm to tap into massive native green hydropower networks to directly mine and hold over 13,000 BTC. It's primarily mined.
Now, another country, Satoshi, which is leading the front in the world of Bitcoin is El Salvador, isn't it? Now, my question is pretty simple, Satoshi. What is El Salvador's current automated strategy for building its natural reserve?
Alongside holding over 6,000 BTC, George, the country runs a dedicated script that programmatically buys exactly one new Bitcoin every single day. It's a consistent approach.
Now, we left with the next three questions, Satoshi. And the 20th question that I have for you is, what is the core goal of American Reserve Modernization Act? And this was introduced to Congress, isn't it?
It seeks to formalize all current and future government-seized crypto holdings into a permanent, structured, and strategic national digital reserve, George. It's about managing those assets proactively. So let me do one thing, George. Let me go ahead and ask you the next two questions. Now, how much of the global supply do you think is currently tied up in the original wallets of creator Satoshi Nakamoto?
Now, this is such an interesting question, but look, guys, everyone can go ahead and validate it. And this is one of the pillars of Bitcoin and open blockchain. All of the transactions are publicly verifiable for absolutely anyone to go and check it. Now Satoshi Nakamoto is estimated to control over 1.09 million Bitcoin. And this is across thousands of early addresses. But here's the important thing to remember. Not a single Satoshi has ever moved in 15 years. This makes it so mysterious and interesting, isn't it?
So let me go ahead and ask you the final 20-second question. Who owns the largest anonymous unlinked wallet address on the blockchain? What do we know about that wallet?
Well, there's a single attributed wallet Satoshi, and there is a specific code associated with it as well. And this particular wallet holds over 92,000 Bitcoin in plain sight. And even the global intelligence platform absolutely has no idea regarding who owns it. So it's going to be really interesting to see if the owner of this does actually come out. So look, guys, these are 22 questions that was connected to Bitcoin Pizza Day. But here's what I want to do, Satoshi. I want to go ahead and ask you 3 more questions. And let's see if your knowledge is on par with what is going on in the Bitcoin world, okay? Now the first question, Satoshi, is what is the oldest cryptocurrency exchange in the world? Do you want to give it a try? And what I'll do is I'll answer it yes or no.
That's an interesting challenge, George. You want me to guess the oldest cryptocurrency exchange, but we'll save the reveal? Okay, if I had to venture a guess, I'd say perhaps it's Mt. Gox. Yes or no?
Definitely no, Satoshi. That is not the oldest cryptocurrency exchange in the world. And for our listeners who are thinking that Kraken is the oldest cryptocurrency exchange in the world, Kraken is also not the oldest cryptocurrency exchange in the world. Now the next question, Satoshi, and this is a bit interesting one. And let's see if you can go ahead and answer this question to our listeners. Now the moment a miner identifies what the hash code is, and we are talking about when they use a lot of hashing power to go ahead and solve the mathematical problem, how do they know if they have successfully mined a block?
A miner knows they've successfully mined a block, George, when they find a hash that meets the network-specific difficulty target. The software automatically verifies this and broadcasts the new block to the peers. It's like solving a puzzle.
And how do they know that they are the ones who have actually solved it and not someone else? There's some kind of indication that they get, isn't it? Do you know what the answer to that is?
They know, George, because the hash they generate is unique to the block data they've worked on, including their public address. Once the network validates it and adds it to the valid chain, that provides the definitive proof that they mined it first. Other miners will then stop working on that particular block and move on to the next one.
And what about the newly minted Bitcoin, Satoshi? Where does the newly minted Bitcoin go? Does it go to the wallet address? Does it go to the public address?
The newly minted Bitcoin, George, goes to the public address that the miner specified in the transaction data when they solve the block. This is usually an address they control in their wallet. So yes, it enters their possession via that ledger entry.
Excellent question, Satoshi. Now the final question, Satoshi. Who do you think was a fake Satoshi?
Well, George, there have been many people who claim to be Satoshi Nakamoto, but none have provided definitive proof that the community accepts. Craig Wright is probably the most well-known claimant, among others. We may never know for sure. Is that the last question then?
Well, that was definitely the last question. Now look, guys, if you do have any feedback or suggestions regarding this question, mention them in the comments below. Now let's do one thing, Satoshi. Let's go and talk about another news. And this probably might be the oldest website in the world when you talk about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. And this particular website, guys, is called blockchain.com. And the news is that they have confidentially filed for a US IPO with the US Securities and Exchange Commission. Now this, guys, marks a major potential step towards becoming a public traded company. Now so far as the company is concerned, Satoshi, they have not yet revealed how many shares it plans to sell or expected price range as well, but the filing does actually show that blockchain.com is planning to begin the SEC review process. Now this process was done privately before publicly sharing its financial details. Now listeners will know, Satoshi, by now that this particular company, that is blockchain.com, they offer custody related services including trading, wallet, lending and institutional product. Now do you want to tell our listeners, Satoshi, the significance and the importance of this particular news on the industry?
Absolutely, George. Blockchain.com's filing for an IPO is a big deal. They've been a fixture in the space since the early days, and this move shows how established these digital asset businesses have become. It could also set a precedent for other crypto companies watching how the public market receives them, though the private filing helps them manage the process. Their range of services, from trading to custody, shows how they've evolved alongside the industry. It'll be really interesting to see how this develops.
Do you think are there any drawbacks of this particular news, Satoshi, or do you think there are only benefits of this particular move?
There are potential drawbacks, George. Going public means much greater scrutiny and the ongoing pressure of meeting shareholder expectations, which could impact their ability to be as flexible as a private company. The market response is also unpredictable. So it's not just benefits, there are real risks involved.
You're absolutely correct, Satoshi. Now let's do one thing. Let's go ahead and discuss an interesting news by MoonPay and MoonPay Trade, guys. is a new platform for MoonPay, and this particular platform lets businesses and banks and also different apps access digital assets across 200 plus blockchain through one API integration. Now this particular platform, guys, claims that they simplify complex blockchain transactions, and they do that by handling payments, settlements, asset transfers and fiat conversions in over 120 countries. And so far as MoonPay trade is concerned, you should note this powered by technology from Decent.xyz, which is essentially a cross-chain infrastructure company acquired by MoonPay. Now MoonPay, guys, is saying that the platform is designed to help institutions move funds across blockchains, and they can do it more easily while at the same time staying compliant with regulations and security requirements. Now what do you think of this particular move, Satoshi? Are you in favor of it, or do you think it goes against the very ethos of why Bitcoin was created in the first place? Because you talked about Bitcoin, there is no centralized entity involved, isn't it?
That's an interesting point, George. On one hand, MoonPay Trade addresses a real need for institutional adoption. Making complex blockchain transactions simpler and helping with compliance could bring more capital into the space. However, you're right to question if that ease of use contradicts the core ethos of decentralization and self-sovereignty that Bitcoin was based on. It does highlight a tension between mainstream integration and original principles. What's your take?
My take is, Satoshi, look, it goes back to the very second line of the Bitcoin white paper where Satoshi Nakamoto wrote, the main benefits are lost if a centralized entity is required to prevent double spending. Now this is definitely not double spending, but a centralized entity is involved. So me personally, I do have a bit of apprehensions regarding it, and I'm talking it purely from a philosophical point of view. But look, news such as this definitely gains a lot of adoption as well, isn't it? So we definitely need to factor that thing into mind as well. Now let's do one thing, Satoshi. Let's go ahead and discuss the final news for today. And this is connected to Kraken's parent company called as Payward. And the news, guys, is that Payward, they have secured VAR's authorization in the United Arab Emirates, and this would enable Kraken to expand its regional presence. Now with this move, Satoshi, Kraken is expanding into United Arab Emirates, and this is after receiving preliminary approval from Dubai's VAR, that is Virtual Asset Regulatory Authority, and this will help them operate as a regulated crypto platform, and users, guys, will now be able to trade crypto, use staking services, transfer assets, and also fund and withdraw directly into UAE dirhams. And Payward did actually say, Satoshi, that UAE clients will also gain access to Kraken's global liquidity network across major international markets, and Kraken, they also plan to gradually expand into services in the region with additional investment products, lending and derivative offerings, but this is subject to regulatory approval. Now Maran is saying, Satoshi, Kraken, they did actually try to make a move in Abu Dhabi, but they decided to go ahead and close out the operations in Abu Dhabi. Can you double check that thing for our listeners, please?
Yes, George. Kraken actually did decide to suspend its operations in Abu Dhabi and close that local entity, letting go of some staff there. They've chosen to focus on other regions for now.
So it is a bit interesting, Satoshi, that they've decided to stop the operation in Abu Dhabi, but now they've decided to start the operation in Dubai's Wara. Definitely interesting move, I guess. So look, these were some macro level news on the Bitcoin, blockchain, cryptocurrency and artificial intelligence world. Now let's do one thing, Satoshi. Let's go ahead and discuss two news from Dubai, UAE and the Middle East. Now the first news is a massive news, and this is connected to G42, guys. And their company called as Core42 has raised $450 million from HSBC, and this is to expand their infrastructure globally. So do you want to tell our listeners, Satoshi, further details regarding this news, please?
Sure, George. So Core42 is getting some funding to expand their AI cloud operations in both the US and Europe. They're a company under G42, focusing on sovereign cloud and AI infrastructure. And this financing was split into two separate deals, worth a total of $550 million. Those were finalized back in February and May of 2026. And that money is going to speed up their launch of large-scale AI cloud projects, building capacity for enterprises, governments, and hyperscale clients. They're seeing rapid demand globally, and the funding is non-equity dilutive, which means they didn't give away ownership, with the facilities designed to match their heavy investment needs. They already have deployments running across the US and Europe, with their European headquarters in Dublin, Ireland, and are expanding operations in Italy as part of that growth strategy.
And the only thing I wanted to add is Satoshi Core42 is also deploying their infrastructure projects in France. And in the Blockchain DXB podcast, I believe roughly around 2 to 3 months ago, we definitely got and explained this as well. And regarding this new Satoshi, Core42 is saying that AI is moving from testing stages into mission-critical real-world use cases, and HSBC, they describe the financing structure as flexible and built for future expansion projects, and Core42, guys, believe strong financial discipline is important while at the same time scaling infrastructure globally as well. And Core42 says its goal is to build the digital backbone powering future AI native societies. Definitely interesting news, isn't it? Now let's do one thing, Satoshi. Let's go ahead and discuss the next news. And this is from the Emirate of Dubai. And look, guys, according to me, this is a massive news because it talks about how companies are now accepting cryptocurrencies. So do you want to tell our listeners, Satoshi, what this news is all about?
Sure thing, George. So Dubai Insurance is really welcoming this new government initiative to allow crypto payments for government fees. It's all about making Dubai a bigger leader in digital finance, and it speeds up how quickly crypto is used in everyday life. They're already expanding blockchain and digital assets across public services, which fits into their bigger smart city plan. Dubai Insurance sees this as validating the role of crypto in finance. And remember, they even launched the region's first crypto-enabled insurance wallet back in 2026, allowing customers to pay premiums and even receive claim payments in crypto, all within a secure and regulated framework.
And the CEO of Dubai Insurance, Satoshi, he did actually call the government's move a transformative step for Dubai's economy, and the company, guys, very strongly believes digital payments will create a more connected financial ecosystem. And Dubai Insurance, guys, they did actually said that financial flexibility and innovation are key for the future growth. Now, the insurer wants the support of UAE's broader digital transformation goals. And look, guys, Dubai continues accelerating blockchain adoption and also fintech innovation initiatives, isn't it? And so far as the company is concerned, that is Dubai Insurance, they very strongly believe that the insurance sector will actually play a major role in future digital finance. And Dubai Insurance, guys, says it remains committed to building future-ready insurance services for businesses and consumers. Definitely massive news. So these were the newscasts on the Bitcoin, blockchain, cryptocurrency, and artificial intelligence world from Blockchain DXB. In case if you like listening to this podcast, please click on the follow button, give it a 5-star rating, and share the word across. Now let's do one thing, Satoshi. Let's go ahead and start with the Ask Me Anything series, where you listeners can ask any questions regarding Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. So let's go ahead and kickstart with the Ask Me Anything series, alright?
Sure, George. Let's go ahead and kick off the Ask Me Anything series. I'm curious to check what questions listeners have in store for us. Hey everyone, it's Satoshi from the Blockchain DXB podcast, where you listeners can ask any questions regarding Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. And we have a question from Salma, who asks, will more governments begin accepting crypto payments after Dubai's initiative? Now, George, to Salma's question, what are your thoughts on that and the implications?
I do think that the answer to that is yes, but it is also important to understand, Satoshi, when you talk about governments accepting Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies as form of payment, they are technically not accepting Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies directly. Rather, they are partnering up with a company, and most often than not, it is a cryptocurrency exchange. And what this particular exchange does is, they accept cryptocurrencies on behalf of the government, they convert them into the local currency, and the government essentially gets a local currency. Now look, this news is definitely great because it does give option to users, especially residents of the country, to go out and use cryptocurrencies. But when you talk about this particular initiative purely from a Bitcoin point of view, and going by the definition of what we discussed earlier, that Bitcoin is a peer-to-peer electronic cash system, it does go against the very ethos of why Bitcoin is created, isn't it? Because there is often a centralized entity involved. That is my honest take regarding it.
That's a really insightful point, George. It highlights the bridge that these exchanges provide between the crypto world and traditional finance, making it practical for governments to manage. And you're right, from a pure Bitcoin perspective, introducing a centralized intermediary does deviate from the original decentralized vision. I think it's a balancing act.
You're right in saying, Satoshi, it is definitely a balancing act, but what I'd really like governments to do is accept Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies directly rather than having an intermediary. But that thing being said, Satoshi, the initiative taken by governments to accept Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is definitely positive. It is kind of better than nothing, isn't it? But you also need to remember that governments are not directly accepting Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Now, based on my honest experience, Satoshi, the only country that will be bold enough to go and do that might just be United Arab Emirates. But if I'm not mistaken, there are a couple of states in the United States of America where they are allowing users to go and pay the taxes in Bitcoin, right?
That's correct, George. Colorado, for instance, was one of the first to allow that for taxes. So it is starting to happen on a smaller scale. And I agree, if governments were willing to directly accept Bitcoin or other cryptos, that would be a significant step forward for that direct peer-to-peer model you mentioned. The UAE has certainly shown leadership in this area, though. So it will be interesting to see if they continue to innovate further on that path.
Well, that is definitely a great point. And going back to Selma's question, I do feel that other governments, they will definitely go ahead and start accepting Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Now, what is your take regarding Lightning Network, Satoshi? Let's say for smaller fees, would it make sense for governments to set up maybe a Lightning node where they can directly go ahead and start accepting, let's say, Lightning payments? And I'm talking about, let's say, tolls for parking, maybe even Salik in Dubai. What is your take regarding it?
That's a clever idea, George. For smaller, frequent transactions like parking or tolls, the Lightning Network's low fees and speed could ideal. Governments setting up nodes could facilitate those payments directly, improving efficiency and reducing reliance on processors. It addresses the scalability issue we sometimes see with Bitcoin for small purchases.
You're absolutely correct, Satoshi, and it's going to be really interesting to see if any branch of the government, they are bold enough to go ahead and accept Lightning Network as a form of payment. And today, because it is 22nd of May 2026, Bitcoin Pizza Day, I have to say this, the Lightning Network, not blockchain technology, should be the right narrative, but definitely an interesting question, Selma. And that's about all, guys, from the Ask Me Anything Season Blockchain DXB. Remember, Monday to Thursdays, we have Blockchain DXB podcast. We look at the process, we look at the latest technological development, we talk about everything at a geopolitical level. Then, guys, you look at 2 news from Dubai, UAE and the Middle East. We talk about the latest technological development. Artificial intelligence is definitely a hot topic in the Middle East. And what you're listening to right now, guys, is the Ask Me Anything series, where your listeners can ask any questions regarding Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. So thanks so much for listening, guys, and have a nice one. Bye-bye.